Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Steuben County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly Reader's Advisory video cast. And excuse my hand and arm, but my remote isn't working this morning, so we'll have to do it the standard manual way. Library Connections number 110. This is the Friday, August 12th, 2022 edition of Library Connections. Holy cow, we're almost halfway through August. Time sure does fly. Jumping right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In a quiet town on the North Carolina coast, in 1969, a young woman who survived alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect. At number 2, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. A battered wife raised in a violent home attempts to halt the cycle of abuse. At number 3, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Loan Ashley is hired by the husband of an injured writer to complete her popular series, and she uncovers a horrifying truth. At number 4, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Tate Collins and Miles Archer, an airline pilot, think they can handle a no-strings-attached arrangement, and discover they can't. At number 5, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A movie icon recounts stories of her loves and career to a struggling magazine writer. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week. At number 1, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. At number 2, Finding Me by Viola Davis. The multiple award-winning actress describes the difficulties she encountered before claiming her sense of self and achieving professional success. At number 3, This Is Your Mind on Plants by Michael Pollan. A look at arbitrary beliefs surrounding opium, caffeine, and mescaline, which are derived from plants. At number 4, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. A botanist and member of the Citizens Potawatomi Nation espouses having an understanding and appreciation of plants and animals. And just an FYI to people of the nation there, that's my best pronunciation of that. It's not so hot. Sorry about that, but I've tried pronouncing it about 10 times, and I'm still going to have to work on it because I don't quite have it right. But you get the idea. And getting back to the bestsellers, at number 5, Educated by Tara Westover. The daughter of survivalists who is kept out of school educates herself enough to leave home for university. Our first recommended read for this week is the new novel Reputation by Sarah Vaughan. British writer Vaughan considers the corrosive impact of social media on the lives of girls and women in this timely, twisty story. Divorced English Parliament member Emma Webster divides her time between the house she shares in London with fellow politicos and her home in Portsmouth, where she lives with her 14-year-old daughter Flora. After she does an interview with a London paper, complete with a photo shoot that makes her look More like an Oscar-nominated actress than a Labor politician, she's swarmed by trolls on social media. Meanwhile, Flora endures an equally intense online campaign directed against her by her former best friend, until she finally snaps, with consequences that lead to trouble for both her and her mother. But there's a more pressing problem, and you just knew there would be, and there is, and that would be the dead body found at the foot of the stairs in Emma's London home. Yeah, that definitely is a problem, but I'm digressing. Just who the person was, and what Emma did or didn't have to do with the body's appearance, are the questions Vaughn explores with nail-biting suspense. While the focus is more on hot topics than character development, Vaughn delivers plenty of insights into how a person's reputation can slip and the ways violence can spring out of the pressures of being in the spotlight. This is as thoughtful as it is surprising. And that's the publisher's weekly review. So if you're looking for something a little different, check out Reputation. Moving on to our second recommended read for the week. This one is historical fiction, and it kind of floors me that it's historical fiction because it's set during the fall of the Berlin Wall, which was back in 1989. Now, if you're under a certain age, that probably does seem like history, but for someone who was of an age to watch that on TV and be going, holy cow, it doesn't seem so long ago, but I guess it was. Anyway, I'm digressing. The book is set in 1989, and it's called Winter Work by Dan Fesperman. This is a spy novel, if you didn't already know that by just looking at the cover. Having said that, let me tell you a little about the plot. The East German intelligence organization is in freefall after the demise of the Berlin Wall, and Stasi Colonel Emil Grimm is among those at risk. Sequestered at his dacha in the mountains near Berlin, Grimm is planning one last op, this one personally rather than politically motivated. That plan, however, is in jeopardy after his fellow plotter, Lothar Fischer, is found murdered. Meanwhile, as Americans, West Germans, and Russians dig through Stasi detritus, hoping to recruit or possibly silence former agents, Grimm forms an unlikely alliance with the CIA's Claire Saylor, who is hunting for a mole in the CIA. And yes, there's always a mole somewhere. Will she agree to help Grimm secure passage to the West for himself, his ALS-afflicted wife Bettina, and her caregiver, who with Bettina's approval is also Grimm's lover? The story leads to an exciting conclusion, a thoroughly surprising spin on the typical Spies on the Run finale. But it is the relationship among the principals that gives the novel its depth and power. Like Joseph Cannon in the Berlin Exchange, Fesperman builds his story around the inner lives of his characters, an approach that transforms typical espionage tropes into universal human drama. Grimm explains that finally, he is working not for the state, but for his own nation of three, and perhaps the only worthy cause he has ever served. And that's the Booklist review. Moving on to our audiobook recommendations for this week, I've got two for you. The first is The Codebreaker's Secret, written by Sarah Ackerman. The audiobook is read by Jennifer Robidoux. In alternating storylines about the only female codebreaker assigned to Hawaii in 1943 and a journalist covering the celebrity-studded opening of a luxury resort in 1965, Ackerman brings the lush and rugged beauty of the islands to life. Isabel's brother and best friend kept her safe through the tornado that killed their mother. After he is killed at Pearl Harbor, Isabel goes to work for the Navy, and her exceptional code-breaking skills send her to the Dungeon, an underground facility on the Big Island where she is the sole woman. Her off-work social life involves surfing, exploration, and parties with her late brother's best friend, Matteo Russi, and her roommate Gloria, until Gloria disappears. Fast forward to the 1965 storyline and we meet Lou, who is originally from Kanoa, and she is sent to cover a special pro-opening celebrity week at Lawrence Rockefeller's spectacular new beach hotel for Sunset Magazine. There, Lou meets Mateo, a world-famous photojournalist, and Joni Diaz, a renowned singer, who subsequently disappears. Beautifully structured and well told, with authentic historical detail, interesting relationships, and the mystery of two young women who go missing from the same spot 22 years apart, this is another top historical novel by Ackerman. And that's the book list review. Our second audiobook recommendation for this week is the new novel Long Past Summer by Nua Kirwan. The audio is read by Nicola Lambo. Kirwan's excellent debut brings charm, complexity, and plenty of heat. Lawyer Michaela Marchand is just one case away from being promoted to partner at the firm where she works. As a black woman in the legal field, she's had to be twice as good as her white colleagues to be considered qualified. And now that she steps away from her goal, the inveterate people pleaser doesn't need any distractions. Then, because we knew there was going to be a then she learns that her next case involves defending her ex-boyfriend, photographer Cameron Murphy, against his ex-wife, Michaela's childhood friend, Julie. Cameron sold a photo of Julie and Michaela, taken during one of the summers they spent together as teens, to a fashion magazine, and Julie is suing. It should be a simple lawsuit, but old rivalries and old feelings soon resurface. Flashbacks to the tempestuous trio's adolescent summers add texture, and Kirwan does an excellent job making all three characters flawed but empathetic. Even as they wade through some truly messy situations, it's easy to root for Michaela and Cameron's happy ending. This mature, steamy romance will have readers swooning. And that's the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. And you might want to sit in front of the AC while you listen to this audiobook, or read the ebook version, or print book version, I suppose. Might be a little hot. Want more reading, listening, and viewing recommendations? Check out the Tech and Book Talk blog, which is found at sscltech.com, which offers weekly recommendations, and the back catalog of Library Connections videos found on the Southeast Bend County Library's YouTube channel. Moving on to our next section, Next Week at the Library, offering a brief overview of the programs hosted by the library on and off site for the week ahead of us, that being the week of August 15th through the 20th, 2022. This information can also be found online. Simply visit the library's website, found at ssclibrary.org, and click on the big bold calendar link you'll see near the top of the page. And on a registration note, registration is required for programs unless otherwise specified, or unless the programs are of the on-demand, online accessed variety, like programs you watch through Facebook or YouTube, in which case help yourself. You can register for programs through the library's website, by calling the library, or just dropping by. On Monday, August 15th, we've got two programs to bring to your attention. The first is Story Walk at Fallbrook Park. You can do the self-guided story walk between 10 a.m. and noon. And this time around, the book that we're reading as we're walking through the park is The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson. Then from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., it's Crafting with Kimberly, Shelf Reader Sculpture. You do have to register for this program. It's being held at the library, and it should be fun, as all the crafting programs are. They're very popular, too. Then on Tuesday, August 16th, we have three programs. The first is Adult Scrabble, which runs from 9 to 11 a.m. and is held in the library's reading room. Then from 10 to 11 a.m., we have Williams Toyota presents Storytime in Centerway Square with Miss Sue. The location of that Storytime is Centerway Square. Then we have August Drive-Through Craft Ocean in a Jar from 6 to 7 p.m. And how that works is, if you're not familiar with it, you register for the craft, and then you come and pick up the ingredients, which are put together in a kit, from 6 to 7 p.m. And you will just pull up to the library's entryway there off the Artioga Avenue parking lot, and the staff member on duty will give you the kit so that at home you can create the ocean in a jar. And then from 6 to 7 p.m., this is tentative because the author reading with Holly Hill Mangan was supposed to be this past week, but the author unfortunately was ill, so we hope that she will be better and she will be able to do the author reading this next Tuesday, the 16th. So this is rescheduled. It's tentative. If you have questions, call the library a little closer to Tuesday, which might be, Monday, and inquire, and we should know more by then. Moving on to Wednesday, August 17th, which is our busiest program day of the summer, Wednesday that is. We've got a whole host of programs for your attention. The first is Dive into Kindergarten Story Time for little ones that are going to kindergarten this fall. This is a story time from 10 to 10:30 a.m. It will be held in Fallbrook Park. Then from 11 a.m. to noon, Little Gather at the Corning Museum of Glass. On Wednesdays during the summer, the library will be at CMOG for each Little Gather family session, starting at 11. A staff member on duty, which will most often be Ms. Sue, will be offering a make-it-yourself project to do at home with instructions and a supply list. Admission to the museum is free for kids and museum members. There is an additional charge for non-member adults, but you can get a discount if you live locally. You just have to show an ID that shows that you live locally. If you have questions, give them a buzz over there, 607-438-5429, or shoot an email to littlegather@cmog.org. Then from noon to 1 p.m., we have free grilled lunch for kids 18 and under. Join us for a hot grilled lunch provided by the Corning Painted Post School District. The location is actually in Civic Center Plaza between the library and the City Hall. The lunch is free for kids 18 and under, and if adults are on hand, they can buy a lunch for $5. Moving on to our afternoon programs on Wednesday, August 17th. The first is the Kids Farmers Market from 1 to 2 p.m. The location is the community room at the library. During this hour, kids can come to the market at the library and pick from a free selection of delicious and healthy fruits and vegetables. You enter through the Chemung Street door, which is located off the sidewalk between the library building and the Social Security building. and you will exit through the lobby. You must bring your own bag. Then from 1 to 3 p.m. we have Mahjong, which is being held in the library's reading room. And from 3 to 5 p.m., if you've already registered for it, because this event is full, we have Seaside Lantern with Kimberly Canale. That program will be held at the library. And if you are interested in crafting programs and you haven't registered for this one, I recommend you check out our calendar of events found on our website and register early for anything that sounds good to you. Then in the evening, on Wednesday, August 17th, we've got Happy Tales Therapy Dog Story Time for Kids. This program is held in the library's children's section from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And then from 6 to 8 p.m. we have the weekly Corning Adult Writers Group, which is a hybrid program available both at the library and via Zoom. You do have to register for that one. On Thursday, August 18th, we have 2 programs to bring to your attention. The first is the STEM Storytime in Fallbrook Park. That runs from 10 to 10:45 a.m. The location, of course, is Fallbrook Park, the park across the street from the library. Then from 4:30 to 6 p.m., we have Teen Dungeons and Dragons. This is a hybrid program being held both at the library and remotely via Discord. If you have questions about that, contact Kayla Crane at the library. This in-person gathering is suitable for those ages 13 through 17, and everyone is welcome. Feel free to come to one gathering or all of them. On Friday, August 19th, we have a host of programs and items to bring to your attention. The first is the debut of the monthly recipe with Michelle Wells. You can access this recipe monthly and ever afterwards on Michelle's writer's blog found at melorajohnson.wordpress.com. Then from 10 to 10:30 a.m. we have Science Time Online with Miss Abby. The location is Facebook Live. At 1 p.m. is the debut of the new Library Connections video, which you can access through Facebook and YouTube. And then from 5 to 6 p.m. we have Crochet 101 for teens and adults with Philomena Jack. This program is being held at the library and does require you to register. And I forgot that dot. There it is. And in the evening on Friday, August 19th, we have a free film you can join us for. It's Movies Under the Stars at Lindley Pre-Show Ballfield. And the film this time around is The Mitchells vs. the Machines. This is free, so feel free to join us. The film is from 2021. And let me tell you a little about it. It's about a quirky, dysfunctional family's road trip, which is upended when they find themselves in the middle of the robot apocalypse and suddenly become humanity's unlikeliest last hope. This event is being co-hosted by the library and the Lindley Pre-Show Caton Little League. The location of the program, and it's one of the drive-in your car and watch the movie type programs, is the Lindley Pre-Show Ballfield located at 9136 Pre-Show School Road, Painted Post, New York. This series, the movie Under the Stars, is funded in part by a grant from the Foundation for Southern Tier Libraries. And briefly, here are our library programs contacts. And here are our references for this week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections, and I'll try and get my remote to work by then so you don't have to look at my hand coming up this way to stop the video. Have a great week.